Good morning.
Good morning.
I said before we're not going anymore in world. Do that count as a grammarian today? I don't want to miss my chance today. I call this meeting of Lake Mary Toastmaster Club 6440 to order. Before we proceed with the meeting, please silence your cell phone. And I would like to ask everyone to stand up for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. With that said, please help me welcome our Toastmaster, Ernst U.
Thank
Thank you.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and we have one guest, which is Jessica.
Not for long.
I want to thank each and every one of you for getting back to me with all your assignments, and Stephanie, especially, she's not here, but she said she would take up any slack, and we didn't need her, but this morning we did. But anyways, first of all, we have a couple of adjustments to the schedule. Evaluator 1, Paul Walsh, will not be here, and Gus was kind enough to be the evaluator number 1. Our theme today is Alaska, and quite contrary to everyone's beliefs, bears do poop into the woods. Let me tell you about this joke about Alaska. There were these two guys walking in Alaska, and they saw a bear. And the one guy said, well, why don't we go and put on our running shoes? He said, you're crazy, you can't run out of a bear. He said, well, I don't have to outrun a bear, I only have to outrun you. Anyways, the theme today is Alaska. At the end of August, I had a great pleasure to strike off one of my bucket list items of my bucket items of my list, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Going to Alaska, and we had an enjoyable 2-week trip. We flew up to Fairbanks and did a 7-day trip cross country, and then we took a boat and came back home. Alaska is an experience I would highly recommend you go in there and put it on your bucket list. It offers true nature experiences and still fields and experiences, the true American grit of determination, hardiness, resolve. You can see it in many different ways. Subsistence living. I didn't know what that was until I was up there. People still live off the land. No grocery store, no water, no electric. It's still practiced by many people. You don't have to go far out of the city to see it. People just live there. I don't know how they can live, but that's how they are. Alaska teaches you the rule of nature. If you do not prepare during the warm summer months by collecting food, firewood for the cold and long winter time, you simply will die because there's nobody out there to help you. It's incredible. The weather is unforgiving, and the hunting in the dark and cold is tough, if not impossible, during the winter time. And I've just looked at my weather map today on my iPhone. I don't have it with me, but Fairbanks is like 19 degrees snowing, so wow. Anyways, let me go and introduce now the technical table. Grammarian Erica Benefield.
Thank you, Jessica, for partaking in this whirlwind this morning for me to get to this point. As a grammarian, it is the function to select the word of the day to help build members' vocabularies. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members will gently rap on the table when they hear a member use the word. Word of the day is whirl. Something that turns or goes around in a circle. an arrangement of leaves, petals that forms a circle. In addition, I will be listening for any errors in grammar, as well as an excellent use of word selections. I will also be noting any colorful thoughts and phrases members might use, such as whatever. During these I will present my report, and anybody who does not use the word of the day and has a speaking role will pay 25 cents at the end of the meeting if they forget to use the word. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie asked me to, Erica asked me to write, to print out the word whirl and to find the definition and so forth, and my head was still whirling trying to find a proper word, a definition really for it. Anyways, the next person is our timer, Mike Hughes.
I'm going to do this world without the cards. Here's how it's going to work. At 2 minutes out, I'm going to show you a green card. At 1 minute out, I'm going to show you a yellow card. At red minute, you better not pull a Diane and keep going. Or to the end of the evening. Thank you.
The next in line is our accountant, Suzanne Michelle. Please explain what your position is.
As I counter, it is my function to listen for the user of filler words such as you know, so, okay, and other audible pauses as fillers. I will be noting if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will also include things which might be distracting, such as lip smacks. I will present my report during the evaluation portion of the meeting.
Today we have 3 different speakers, and first speaker, Hadi N. Hadi N. Am I coming up to you?
Yes.
All right, Hadi is giving his Icebreaker speech, one of the most speeches, and let's all support him. Would you like me to remove this or keep it here?
That's fine.
You want me to keep it here?
Yeah, I'll thank you. So as I prepare to talk, my mind's in a whirl. What if I told you that you were being lied to? What if I told you that at this very moment you were being lied to? That chatterbox in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, lovable enough, deserving enough, it's a lie. How do I know? I don't. But I believe it to be true. Flashback. It's May 2010. I'm 23 years old, and I've just finished the first 2 years of my PhD, master's degree in hand. My roommate, my former roommate, is talking to me about how impressed he is with my achievements. My parents are proud, my professors are proud, and my friends are proud. But I am completely miserable. My parents have just closed down their business. They've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And my roommate, my former roommate, one of my best friends, has just moved to New York. And I'm in an empty apartment, coursework is over, and I have a lot of time to think. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have a muscly, chiseled body. I wanted to have my permanent residency. And I wanted to party. I love people. Why wasn't I partying? I'm on the phone with my parents, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, I need to take time off school. No, they pipe back. Just go to a cafe, hire a tutor, you'll be fine. June 2010, I'm on the phone with my parents. Mom, Dad, I can't focus on school. I need to take time off. No, no, they pipe back. We'll send you some money, go hire a tutor, and stay at a cafe, and you'll be fine. July 2010. Mom, Dad, I can't focus on school. I need to take time off. If I keep going, I'm gonna fail. They finally relented. I took a year off school. It's now November 2012. 16 months after I've taken a year off school. I'm finally presenting my PhD research paper. I get a bad omen. I arrive at the classroom, I present, and I fail. After all that struggle, I fail. But I am completely ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm free. It's now October 2014. I'm on the phone with my former roommate again. And I'm telling him just how fulfilled I am. And he's completely shocked. I'm making less money now than I did as a student. But I've advanced in things in life that I really care about. I have my permanent residency. I'm building that muscly chiseled body. And I'm making a difference in the world in something I truly care about. I'm now coaching, and I'm writing a book. So, why do I tell you that you're being lied to? Why do I believe that you really can live the life of your dreams? Because every day I'm approaching that life of my dreams. And as I get closer, I can see the light shine through the fog. Mr. Toastmaster.
Mr. Timer, 1 minute, please. Our next speaker is Nicole Caslow. Although our next speaker grew up in Florida, she traveled to Trinidad every summer. But her fondest memory of the island are the exhilarating experiences of Carnival. Please welcome Toastmaster Nicole Caslow as she talk about dancing in the streets.
What is the greatest festival you've ever been to? Do you remember the sounds, the smell, the music, the hangovers possibly? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Trinidad is a carnival nation. It is the greatest place for carnival in the world. The spirit of the festival has caused its reproduction throughout the entire Caribbean islands and as far away as Miami, New York, and Toronto. I'm going to share with you today the origins of Carnival and its birth, the evolution to its modern day, and also some essential components. Carnival was birthed when the 18th century French Catholic planters and their West African slaves settled on the island. With pre-Lenten season, with the French bringing pre-Lenten season, Carnival actually means to put away the meat. So they brought the festival with them as huge masquerade balls. The West Africans brought with them masking and drumming and different types of beats. Although at the time they did not celebrate together, but as it's evolved into a non-discrimination, it's one culture, one people, one nation. Today, Carnival is a huge party. Although it's officially only 2 days long, it's the Monday and Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, it actually starts right after Christmas. I mean, you get your costumes, you pick the band that you're going to be dancing in the streets with September of the previous year. You pick the band you're going to be dancing with, and the theme of your costumes are all picked out. You know, I can remember vividly just the huge feathered headdresses, the beaded tops. There is still some traditional costumes that people wear, like the Midnight Robbers or the Jaybirds, but typically it's so evolved into European that it's really the beads and the music and the rum and the steel pans and the soca music, and you're just dancing down the streets. It's for 2 full days. Juve, it's called Juve, which means breaking dawn, officially starts Carnival Monday morning at 4 o'clock. And those costumes are, you're dressed up in mud, paint, oil, grease, and even chocolate now. And that's from 4 a.m. until the break of dawn on Monday. Monday morning, 11 o'clock, the traditional carnival starts, where you're dressed up in your suits, you dance around, you whirl around the city of Sport of Spain, and that's where you go through your judges, and they judge your band and the theme that you're masquerading in. Some essential components of Carnival are the music. You have calypso, which is indigenous to Trinidad. It's rooted in West African mockery and praise. Soca music is fast-paced, super fast. It is the island's pop music. I remember as a kid going to Trinidad every summer, but my favorite time was Carnival, and the music is just, it is a production. They spend all year picking out the soca band that's going to play during Carnival. Without the music, I mean, you just have, it's not Carnival. You have to dance and listen to the music. They call dancing whining. So when you whine, you don't use your feet as much as you use your hips, and you whine your hips, right? That's what they call it. They call it whining.
Whirl.
Well, whirl for today. So, as I share with you the glorious time of Carnival, I'm inviting each and every one of you to come and dance with me in the streets. Mr. President.
Thank you. I still remember I was in Trinidad way back in 1969, and I had lots of fresh banana daiquiris at the Upside Down Hilton, and I still can feel the headache today. Our next speaker will be Martin Bell. There's a change in the schedule here. It says a tale we tell our children. Actually, I made a mistake. General Evaluator. That's my mistake. It's now Martin Bell talking about General Colin Powell.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Today I'm here to spend a few moments to talk about a great American, a true patriot, someone who has dedicated his life to public service in the United States. Someone who I just recently had the privilege of listening to speak in person, and that is retired General Colin Powell. Colin Powell served as the Secretary of State under George W. Bush, the first African American to do so. Prior to that, he served as National Security Advisor. He also served as the Chief of the U.S. Army, and also the first African American and the youngest person at age 52 to serve as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the Gulf War. He has one of the most decorated military histories of all Americans, starting with ROTC at 17 years of age. And unfortunately, when most of us think of Colin Powell, 3 initials come to mind. Those perhaps being WMD, which is unfortunate because his legacy is far greater than those 3 initials. He was known as the reluctant warrior. Prior to advocating military intervention, he would always recommend diplomacy first. He became known for the Powell Doctrine, or the use of overwhelming force, which would maximize the possibilities of success and minimize casualties. He served in the Vietnam War, where he was decorated for bravery, where he single-handedly rescued 3 of his fellow soldiers from a burning helicopter. I recently had the opportunity and privilege to listen to Colin Powell at a conference last month, and it was one of the best speeches I have ever heard. He got our attention immediately with humor, asking everybody what was one of the worst days that they've experienced in their lives. And for many of us, that's perhaps when we lose a job. Well, he lost a job as Secretary of State. And if you can imagine riding in a bulletproof limousine, flanked by 2 Secret Service vehicles, flanked additionally by a police motorcade, receiving a phone call in that vehicle telling you that you've been dismissed, and then noticing that the police cars start to leave, arriving at your home and seeing dozens of mechanics pulling out all the telephone cords and computers. On that day, having had conversations with dignitaries and heads of state, having everyone in the world wanting to interview you, and then the next day, sitting at home, quietly, without the phone ringing at all. Fortunately for Colin Powell, he's been married for 52 years, and he made a point of bringing that up. He also brought up many interesting and personal aspects. I recall him vividly telling us, and as Stephen actually mentioned last week, which I found fascinating, that he doesn't watch American television. He doesn't watch American news. He gets all of his news from foreign channels. In his view, American TV or American news is just folks giving their opinions about other folks, not necessarily the news. After he was dismissed as Secretary of State, what do you think the first thing, or one of the first things he did was?
Watch American television.
Well, as most middle-aged men might, they buy a Corvette. And so he bought a Corvette. Currently, as a retired general, he's very much interested in youth and charity, and he believes that we should all be a nation of graduates, very much focused on education. He recalls a story being Secretary of State coming down from his offices at the Waldorf Astoria, again flanked by Secret Service, again with police cars surrounding the block. And as he would do often, he went to the nearby hot dog vendor, typically an immigrant. And in one particular instance, the hot dog vendor recognized him. He said, "Hey, I see you, I noticed you on TV." And they started to chat. It was an Egyptian immigrant, and Colin Powell went to pay. And hot dog vendor notices everybody around, big deal. And he recalls the immigrant saying, "You know what? I won't take your money. I've been paid. This country has paid me, and you don't owe me anything." And so I find it again interesting that last week we had a question, which was, what makes the United States great? Colin Powell also had that question asked of him. And he said, as long as each and every day there's people waking up, walking into our embassies overseas, and declaring, "I want to be an American," this nation will be a leader among nations. As long as this nation welcomes people just like my parents coming off the banana boat, we will be a great country. So I was thrilled to have the opportunity to listen to such a wonderful speech from a great American, and at the end of the speech, take an opportunity when he was walking through the crowd, shake his hand, and thank him for his service. I thought it would be nice to share that with you today.
Time for 1 minute, please. Number four. Come on to me. Number 3, yeah. Thank you. We are well ahead of our schedule, and I'd like to give you a few more facts about Alaska. The capital, unlike most people think it's Fairbanks or Anchorage, but it's actually Juneau. It's right on the ocean. And they became a state in 1959. The size is 663,000 square miles. It is twice the size of Texas, but it only has the population of 770,000. So anyone who wants to go up there and live up the land, there's plenty of land up there. Their main economy is oil, gas, fishing, and tourism. The state of Alaska was actually purchased from the Russians way back, and the decision was made in March in 1867 for $7.2 million. In today's numbers, that's like $165 million. I'm sure the Russians trying many different things. I hope they're not trying to invade Alaska, because there's some Russians still there they have to protect, like they're doing in Crimea. And the purchase was ratified by the President Andrew Johnson right after the war. Help me out here. The
Civil War.
Civil War. Gosh. Anyways, the And everybody was really mad that he spent $7.2 million because America was destroyed. If you think about, that kind of purchase which he made, it's incredible. Of course, this would never happen. The reason the Russians sold Alaska to the United States because they needed money. They were devastated by wars, and they could not support the few Russians which were living were living in Alaska. That's why they sold the state of Alaska at the time. The next part is table topics. Jorge Frigulas will be testing your speaking skills. You want me to move this?
No, that's all right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So this is everybody's favorite part of the meeting. So you don't have a role. You should be on pins and needles right now. So keeping with the theme as much as possible this morning, which is Alaska, I'm going to ask the first question, which is, would you rather live in eternal sunshine or eternal darkness? Julia.
Good question.
Table master. That's an easy question. I would definitely seek the light versus the dark. I love living in Florida for the reason that it's a sunshine state. I grew up in Ohio, and while I love the season changes and all of that, it stayed dark too long during the winter months, and hence moving to Florida kept me in the light. So that's an easy question. Definitely the light. Thank you.
Thank you. I always wondered why we had Alaska as a state. It's part of so separate, it's all alone out there, just like Hawaii. So if you could kick out any current state and replace it with another country, what state would you kick out of the Union, and who would you replace it with? Stephanie.
Master, if I could kick out a state and replace it with another state or
with another country.
I think I would. No, I would probably kick out New Jersey. For a variety of reasons, mainly because they can't drive. They clog up our roadways coming into New York to work, take our jobs, go to the theater, take our free parking spaces. There are free parking spaces in Manhattan if Jersey stays out of them. And they talk funny, Jersey, it's just, anybody see South Park last night? No, am I the only one? It's a Jersey thing. Don't like New Jersey. And I would replace it with probably Puerto Rico.
Alaska is known as a frontier state. There's a lot of living off the land there. Do you think you could survive if you were left in frontier Alaska, Alexandra?
Thank you, Master Table Topic. Don't believe I will survive if you leave me in the middle of that park over there. So going back to your question, no, I won't be able to survive. As a matter of fact, I told Mike that he should give us a speech about surviving in weird places, and he promised that he will.
Since he's weird?
Yes.
Yes. But to answer to your question, I don't believe. I'm dying to know or learn how could I survive, but honestly answer, no, I'm not able to survive.
The operative word being die.
Sticking with traveling, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? Jessica.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. If I could go anywhere in the world, it would be, and this is a huge surprise probably to everyone, and it was a really big surprise to me when I heard I had to go there and thought, oh, why are we going there? We're supposed to go to this really beautiful location, and I had to go to Wyoming. Okay, so we go, and we were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it is the most beautiful place on earth. And when people say it's God's country, it is. We were right in the Teton Mountain Range, and it was just gorgeous. They have beautiful seasons, white winters, really colorful falls. The summers there are just glorious. The weather's perfect. There's so many outdoor activities and things to do, and I also met some of the most interesting people on earth. So if I could go, money was no object or time, I would definitely go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Keep going. If you, so we're done with people that don't have functions. So I'm just gonna start making up questions. Kerri pointed this out to me, so I'm gonna use this as a question. Why do you think that painting is upside down?
Oh my goodness.
Gus.
Master table topics, master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. That picture is upside down because the person who must have decorated this room had not been to Alaska and seen that it's up and there's a down. So that must be a reason. And secondly, nobody may have brought it to the attention of the people in the hall there to see. There must be a theme here. There must be a theme here. Probably we should have turned. Thank
you, Mr. Table Topic Master. While most people in Alaska live rural, they all have refrigerators. I don't know whether you're aware of it, because you dig down maybe 1 foot and you have permafrost. So you have your own refrigerator right there wherever you live, and so you, while you fish during the summertime and you don't have no electricity, you have a refrigerator right in your backyard.
Bless you.
Now, the next person up here is our general evaluator, Diane Nicole, evaluating our session here. Thank you very much. You want me to move this, or might be
I'll put time on this one.
Of course, I am going to evaluate the people and their roles, so be careful. Before I evaluate the meeting and how it went, which I thought was great, let's go to our functionaries and our technical team. I'm sorry?
The evaluators.
Oh, the hello, sorry, yes.
Boy, we suddenly got a lot shorter.
I was trying to do it quickly, but, you know. Okay, so first, we have our first evaluator, who is now Gus, who is going to be evaluating Hadi's Icebreaker.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and Hadi, thank you so much for your speech. As I evaluate your speech, how will you know that I lied to you? You had very strong points in that you came up here to tell us, in your icebreaker, your life story. You talked about your achievements, you also talk about your failure, but you also talk about your dreams that have been achieved. That was very, very strong for you to bring that out. You gave us a timeline on your story, you know, from the time you were working on your doctorate, your master's. You gave us a timeline even with your parents, you know, calling you, moving you along, and you give us dates and times, 2007, 2012. As you told that story, I was drawn into your life. As someone who is a citizen by naturalization, I can understand your journey when you achieve not only academic achievement, but you get the achievement to be the greatest country in the world. You were well prepared, so you came very well dressed and confident, so you can present yourself. Thank you for that. That was well done. Another strong point you brought is not only you gave us the question, but you weaved it throughout your speech. And that will give us attention to your achievement, your failures, and your dreams you achieved. There was lots of dialogue. You would talk about a phone call with your parents. So that was giving us the connection you had there in life. One of the things you will consider when you have a speech, this is here, it's called a lectern. It's not a podium. Come there and start. You know, we want to see you. Don't stand over here. Come there and stand confidently. You're handsome, winsome, so you can stand there and take in the crowd, and then you can move back and forth. I don't know why you held this paper in your hand like that.
Yeah.
Where's that paper? You did not need it.
Yeah.
You had a great story that you can just directly speak to us because you were speaking to us from your heart. Great use of questions. You had a very good use of questions in your speech. A great use of dialogue. When you even showed your excitement when you showed it, you know, you bounced up and showed how you were excited. We got to know you a little bit more. You're a great speaker. There are potentials for you to continue to grow and to make a change in the speech. So welcome. I'm looking forward to more of your speeches that you do. Thank you.
Our second evaluator is Stephen Morgan, and he's going to be evaluating Nicole Caslow's speech, Dancing in the Streets.
I must say it was nice to be able to go from freezing in Alaska to dancing in Trinidad. I'm General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, particularly Nicole. This was the Organize Your Speech project, Project 2 Competent Communicator Manual. The idea is basically, have your opening, have your body, have your conclusion. And you did a nice job with that opening, getting us into the mood. You were using the rule of 3 very well in the opening with the smells, sounds, and of course the hangovers. And with your points to make up your body, where you're talking about the origins, evolution, and essential components of Carnival. You had the structure that you had in mind, and that was put together quite well. What was interesting, I found, was that since you didn't have the need of notes, you were still using the lectern for the barrier. A little bit of protection going on here. And part because, as you indicated, you were less prepared than you wanted to be, and I'm sure the out-counter will have a few for you on that point. But your body language, your presence up here was quite strong. I did like the way when you talked about the headdresses, your arms were starting to come out up here, so we're really getting a good idea of where the headdresses were. And of course, when you're doing the line of the hips, that was fun for us to see there, and Alexandra will tell you about her belly dancing at some point as well. But on body language, there are a few things you might want to pay attention to. You were doing weight on one foot a lot. Sometimes that can be useful, but if you're standing there too long, for one thing, it'll wear out your leg if you need to be there too long. And if it looks like you're being too casual, that might take away from the message you have at that point. You were doing you had a good idea with the finger counting of 3 points. You were doing it down here. I would have suggested putting it further up and doing it with 1, 2, and 3 up here, just to make it more visible. And you were doing the finger clasp a little bit with your fingers in here. The 3 points that you had to make, I was having a little difficulty with where the origin point and where the evolution point start. So the transitions could be a little bit stronger in that point, and the conclusion might have been, because the cards were popping up, the conclusion seemed fairly short. And I'd love to have seen a recap of your points, the things you're trying to make to go from the beginning through your points and all the way back, make the whirl of the entire speech. But the best part is that you were having fun. And that's the best part about being up here. You were smiling through the whole thing, you were having fun with the energy, and we were all picking that up. So you have definitely got a great personality to be showing up on stage. So keep that moving along. And in fact, I'd say if you want to pull this one a bit again, it would be very fun to see what you come up with in costume for the next time you want to do this. Or if you just want to come up in all chocolate, I'm sure we'll enjoy that just as well.
Now, our final evaluator, Kerri, who's going to be evaluating Martin Bell on his topic, General Colin Powell.
fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Martin. I loved the topic of your speech. I feel that most people found it interesting, and I'm sure that, given a chance, would have gone to see him speak if possible. I find everything about the man very interesting, so it was nice to see your perspective. It was interesting to see the impression that he made on you from his speech that was clear when you were speaking. The biggest thing I have is your hands behind your back. It was kind of distracting when you were first speaking. As you got through some parts of the speech and you started to use your hands more, it made you seem more comfortable and more approachable to the rest of us. So that may be something to think about. And the only other thing that I really have that is a big thing, acronyms, especially with "this is how you say it." When you said WMD, I saw Julia ask what that was, and that is something you probably should have said. It's fine that you said that, but then you might have said what it stood for just to make sure, especially in the speech since it was how you say it, and part of it was to have clear, accurate, descriptive, short words and avoid jargon. But outside of that, I found your speech fascinating and interesting. I love listening to you speak. I think you have nice pacing and a good cadence, and your voice is very nice and clear when you're speaking. And I can't wait to hear you speak.
No, she wasn't the only one. I was.
Apparently not the only
I-
one. Oh, sorry.
And as I evaluate now, I tell you, the only person who could possibly discombobulate me is sitting right in here.
Discombobulator, yes.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do before I evaluate the whole general meeting, I'd like to call up our technical table people so that we can get some money in our till and find out how everybody did. Let's start with our timer, Suzanne.
No, she's all counted.
Oh, I'll count, I'm
The
sorry.
name is right in front of me.
Man, yeah, thank you. You know what, you need to shut your mouth. I'll count her, Suzanne, thank you.
So this morning went by in a whirl. So Alexandra had one Ernst, 2 1 but, Hadi, he had 1 like, and a few pauses. I wasn't sure if they were intentional or not. So, Nicole, you had a few pauses, and I think 2 ahs. Martin, it's just an you had 1 Gus had 3, you know. Kerri had 2 Jessica, 2 ands.
Thank you. All right, Mike, go for it.
Let's get our time here. Hadi, a little shy at 4:30, or excuse me, you're right on at 4:33. Nicole, you were 4:19. Martin, 7:01. Just cut it, Rachel's edge right there. Gus, you were at 2:53. Steve, 2:53, same time, outstanding. Kerri, 1:43. And table topics was a Julia, 23 seconds. Stephanie, 49. Alex, 37. Jessica, 23. And Gus was 30. And that's my report.
Thank you.
I think we made some money today. Let's start with those that I heard use the word of the day. I heard Alexandra. I heard Hadi. I heard Nicole. I heard Stephen. I heard Susan. Did I hear you say it?
I'm about to.
And that's who I heard use the word of the day. Anyone else use it that I didn't catch it? Well, of course, Ernst. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, and then some interesting uses of the English language. Bucket items, whatever. That was Jorge, I'm just gonna make up questions. Hadi, I'm completely ecstatic. Great use of that English language. Nicole, come and dance with me in the streets. A lot of times people mix up where the me should be, so it's good that you use it. And come dance with me. Martin, I recall him vividly telling us, again, great use of the English language. Gus, how will you know that I lied to you? Alexandra, surviving in weird places. Stephen, you had the structure put in mind and it was used quite well. Diane, the only person that can discombobulate me, that is my report.
And so now my general evaluation is going to start out with, of course, Alexandra and her role, which is always perfect. She's got everything in place, everything organized. I think she takes a ruler to the table in the back and puts those little cards like 1 inch apart. Everything looks very professional, and I do appreciate that. As far as our theme of the day, great theme. The only thing I missed was the whirling speech about Aurora Borealis. I would have liked to have heard about that because I missed that. If you said that, I missed it. And our speakers were all well prepared and did a really good job. Our evaluators were right on, I think, spot on for every kind of criticism or constructive criticism that they gave. Okay, not criticism, but constructive criticism to help make you better. Jorge's table topics, he had great questions. They were very, stop it. The table topics were varied, and that was really nice, and the fact that he could just come up with something on the spot was wonderful. And what I really liked was that he used the people that were not going to be talking, and so everybody got a chance to speak today. So that's really important, I think, for table topics. As far as the general evaluator, well, she totally sucked today, didn't she? But next time, I promise, I won't forget the evaluator. So as far as everything else went, the meeting went very well. Everybody did a great job. Everybody shook hands like they were supposed to, and I was very impressed. So thank you. Our next person up is Erica Benfield, our president with our club.
I missed it, but would you go back to Alaska?
Immediately. Well, not next year in the spring.
Okay. Not 19-degree weather. Fantastic meeting as always. I'd like to invite our repeat guest and member that's signing paperwork soon, right? She's treated as a guest. Still, Jessica, you're coming back, right?
Yes.
And Jessica, just so you know, she was the person who started our, what is that email that we get? Meetup. Meetup has continued thanks to her when she had an officer role. That was her suggestion in having our group on Meetup. So if any of you found or learned about us through Meetup, Diane did, it was an act of something that you did. So thank you. Tell us what you thought about the meeting.
Great meeting as always, and I'm so happy to be back. I did bring my checkbook today, so I'm going to. And thanks for telling me about Meetup. I didn't realize that we were still using it, so that's great.
It's not being charged to your account anymore.
No. I'm
not sure we have.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Upcoming meeting is October 21st. At the moment, we have Toastmaster Julia. Speaker 1, Mike Hughes. Next speaker, Stephanie Bonnie Byrne. Table Topics Master, Diane. General Evaluator, Paul. Jorge Figgles is our first evaluator, as well as Gastades. If we do have a third speaker, I volunteered to be the evaluator. Odd counter, Ernst. Grammarian, Suzalem. So you're just switching seats. Timer, Hadi. How much money do we...
don't have another speaker?
Not yet. Do you want to volunteer?
Okay, I'll have to move along that.
Right, that's not a problem. We can fill that in. So you want to speak? Okay, Gus is going to be our second speaker.
You would sign up for the following week. Did you not want that one?
Yeah, well, I'll just switch it. I thought there was somebody, but Do we need it or the timing? Do we have enough timing for the
We'll just
speaker?
make up more table topics if we don't have a
Okay,
third
I'll
speaker.
stay with
So
you.
just stay with.
I'll speak if no one else does.
You will? Okay, so Steven.
Good.
Okay. And then, how much money are we raffling off today? Anybody else want to add in last minute?
Last minute,
That's stuck in.
$12, of which $6 will be.
Right, do you want to buy another ticket real fast?
Anybody have?
We got 4 minutes, so we're good.
$1 for one,
Two for one.
Just one ticket? One. We'll just leave this over here, okay? So
Like, start the day off with gambling. Speaking of gambling, I'll improv here. So I just came back from North Carolina and it's an 8-9 hour trip. And something that we do is we get scratch offs on the way up there. Does anybody else do that when they're traveling? That's the only time I ever buy any sort of ticket. So the 8 and the 10-year-old are in the back and we always start with revealing what the prizes are. I'm like top row, middle row, bottom row, and then they tell me.
I need that one.
And let's just say we were only down $5, but that's a miracle the way we started. And that's one of the things that keeps the kids going. And at one point, the 10-year-old's like, just give me the cards, just give me the cards. And I'm thinking, is that right? That he's 10 and is really excited about playing scratch-offs at 10 years old, or, you know, you never know, to lead to other things. But that was one of the ways that we kept the kids entertained in going to North Carolina and back, because it's not easy. But it's getting easier as they're now 8 to 10. When they were much younger and we didn't have iPads, it was getting really creative on the drives. I'm sure some of you have some stories. How much money do we have now?
I think we have 7.
Diane?
One more ticket? Okay, I'll share another.
No, this is the extra dollar.
Okay.
This is $2,
High finances.
Okay, so the winner gets 8.
The winner gets $8. We'll take it. All right, so let's have Jessica, who's still technically a repeat guest. If she picks her own, we're in trouble. Yeah.
It's not my own. 2300453.
Not Steven again.
Match it up, check it out.
He's
He
might be like
Thank you for those that participated with our raffle 50/50. It really makes a difference. We also have another very important business to do, and that is, Hadi, if you could come up here, please. And you had a lot of us yearning to learn more about you. So congratulations and welcome, and we look forward to hearing more. Thank you so much. And with that, everyone have a great week. Bye.